blind to see that I'm already there, where there is no darkness or light, chasing and judging and wielding a sword at the shadows that pose something to fight. Let me let go.
Let me let go.
Let me arise.
Let me arise.
Let me be free to open up my eyes.
Open up my eyes.
Let me love.
Let me love.
Let me care.
Let me care.
Let me know
how
to listen without fear.
Listen without fear.
'Cause that's
Really a miracle going on right here.
Try it in reverse.
Try it in reverse.
Not in your mind.
Not in mine.
Try it, take a chance. Try to live to be alive. Try receiving all of it at the speed of life. Try coming at it from the other side. Let me let go.
Let me let go.
Let me arise.
Let me arise. Let me feel free to open up my eyes.
Let me love.
Let me love.
Let me care.
Let me care. Let me know how to listen I'll listen without fear.
'Cause that's really a miracle.
And it's going on right here.
I hear the sound calling me home, back to the center of where I come from. The wisdom of the ages pushing from behind. No matter how I fall, I can't go wrong this time. The time is now.
The time is now.
The time is now.
The time is now.
The time is now. Let me let go.
Let me let go.
Let me arise.
Let me arise.
Let me be free to open up my
eyes.
Let me love.
Let me love.
Let me care.
Let me care.
Let me know how to listen
without fear.
'Cause that's real miracle going on
right here.
Let me let go.
Let me let go.
Let me arise.
Let me arise. Let me be free to open up my eyes. Let me love. Let me love.
Let me care.
Let me care. Let me know how to listen without fear. 'Cause it's really a miracle. And it's going on right here.
Let me let go.
Let me let go.
Let me arise.
Let me arise. Let me be free to open up. I will open up my eyes.
Let me love.
Let me love.
Let me care.
Let me care. listen without fear.
'Cause that's really a miracle going on right here. Come on, sing with me. Let me let go.
Let me let go.
Let me arise.
Let me arise. Let me be free to open up my eyes.
Let me love.
Let me love.
Let me care.
Let me care. Let me know how to listen without fear. 'Cause it's really a miracle going on right here, right here, right here, right here.
Let me let go. Let me arise. Let me be free to open up my eyes. Let me love. Let me care. Let me know how to listen without
fear.
'Cause it's really a miracle going on right here,
Right here,
right here,
right here,
right here,
right here. Okay, so listen carefully today. There's an updraft. If you can catch this, it will shift the way that it will just forever change the way that you see life in this world. Life has a kind of thudding quality to it when we're caught in delusion, when we not illusion, but delusion. And I'm trying to switch us from this kind of solid, it's a heaviness. Life carries a heaviness. The joys and the sorrows carry a heaviness. There's a weight to it. Like you feel everything. Stress is just feeling the cares of life. The vicissitudes. When we talk about the vicissitudes, it's not all negative stuff. It's positive stuff too. But yet it has a weight to it, a kind of tethering that we are like bound to. We're bound to the earth, and so that's why we do things like drink or get high, just to give us a sense of levity, a sense of escape, to feel the weightlessness that occurs, the zest, the zeal, it's just kind of like an upward movement where we're not tethered to whatever we're dealing with. That tethering is attachment. So it doesn't mean not to have anything, doesn't mean not to do anything, doesn't mean not to go anywhere, but it's being free of that tethering sense, that we're tied to. And if we can just begin to get just a little glimpse of it and keep nurturing it, we will see that we're not doing a disappearing act, but we're actually moving more fully into life, but without that kind of weight. And so if we analyze things, we can also feel that kind of weight. But he says that the better way to experience it is to think of life as an illusion, like a bubble, like a mirage. And then he goes through examples of to help you understand how to see life as an illusion, a mirage, a dream, a shadow, a reflection, a mirage city, like echo, like water reflected in the moon reflected in the water, floating bubbles, sky flowers, and fire wheel. And that's to have the, like if you light a cone and it has the fire here and you swirl it like that. It's like how you see a circle of fire. That's not really a circle of fire, but so it's like that. So I started on Sunday, I guess this is on Sunday, and I talked about some of those. So I'd like to continue because if one doesn't do it for you, then another will. Those who do not know, let's see. While in a dream, it seems as if it is real. When we wake up, the dream has indeed vanished. Therefore, we dismiss it with a laugh, thinking, how could it have been real? After all, it turns out I was just dreaming. That was not real. After all, I'm still lying on this bed. Human life as a whole is also like this. Our human lives are also actually a dream. Those who do not know this have not seen their original nature. If you see your original nature, even for 1 minute, you will know that human life is a dream. You will know thinking, it is this state that is truly what I am. It is this state that is truly what I am. Why have I been enmeshed for so long? I've been totally attached to worldly phenomena through my eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. What a mess I have made of things. Hey, I'm doomed, I'm doomed. You will know then. Thus you must illuminate your mind and see your original nature. That requires you to search for and see prajna, to use the 3 kinds of prajna to cognize objects in order to realize the form that has no form, the unobtainable form. Having the various afflictions, one is asleep. Actually, there's nothing to be attached to. When one awakens, one knows nothing is real and also even laughs at oneself. That is, since beginningless time, living beings have truly been engrossed in a dream state. In reality, there is no actual phenomena. However, because living beings are deluded, they are attached to various afflictions and are asleep. We can see how attached we are to our afflictions because when things bother us, like we hang on to them like, we like a dog with a bone. We just won't let go. And we know something is wrong with that, but rather than do the thing, apply an antidote, we rather dig our heels into the affliction and into the suffering. However, because living beings are deluded, they are attached to various afflictions and are asleep. Thus, they become muddled and they devolve. They are entrapped by the 6 types of extreme misfortunes. They crave and are attached to forms, sounds, smells, and tastes. They are unable to awaken. If they were to awaken one day, they would immediately know that it has all been unreal and would dismiss it all with a laugh. That is, while dreaming, people see all kinds of states and appearances. They're personally present in them. Once they awake from their sleep and the dream is gone, then they realize it was a dream. Some disciples have such strong attachments that they even forget about the importance of Buddha Dharma. There are 5 or 6 disciples here. When they awaken, they will think, oh, I was wrong. Having the various afflictions, one is asleep. Actually, there is nothing to be attached to. How does one observe and contemplate things as being like a shadow or a reflection? The Mahaprajna Paramita Sastra says, being like a shadow or reflection means being merely visible, not graspable. All phenomena are also like this, sensed and cognized through the eye sense base and the other sense bases. This Sastra expresses it very clearly. A shadow or a reflection is something that can be seen but does not really exist and cannot be held. Through the eye sense base and through experiencing, we perceive shadow-like or reflection-like states. And so he gives the example of seeing your reflection in a mirror. You see the reflection is there, but you can't grasp that reflection or take hold of it here. They refer to the fact that the reflection facing you cannot be grasped or taken hold of. Instead, we should turn the light inwards to illuminate ourselves. This means that our intrinsic nature will appear before us when we are not attached to the reflection. Mm-hmm. What is the meaning of this? It means the mind is not seeking externally. And you can see the same when you see the sunlight on a lake or on water. And truly you see it there, but it is merely a reflection. It's not graspable. Now, this doesn't come all at once unless you have a peculiar kind of karma that is able to grasp it all at once. But this is about how to turn the mind, training the mind, how to see things, how to hold things, what to continually take the mind back to. And you see that your mind begins to shift and not hold tightly to the ways that you used to think about things. It almost becomes impossible. You know, you start to realize that when I'm thinking a thought, and I'm creating a scenario based on that thought, but that thought is not the thing, or that thing is not the thought. And if I could see it as a thought rather than a concrete thing, then I would be less inclined and less attached to it. It does not mean that I don't enjoy it. It doesn't mean I don't make use of it or benefit from it. It just reduces the constant thought that I am that. And in that little gap, in that little space, there comes a great, great freedom. It's a complete turnaround. I was thinking about how I witnessed Panyadeepa's death from this view of delusion. I mean, actually, he told me, I think I read it to you, but he said, what you saw wasn't the way it was. That was just the way you saw it based on how you think. So all you could see was he told me all I could see was the elements remaining after the consciousness was gone. So what I was looking at was death, but for him, it wasn't that. And so my whole, connotation of that experience, it was based not on how it actually was, but what I thought about it, which was lifeless body, dead, gone, gone. And so that's why this kind of training is so important, because the more you can see the illusory nature of life, the less pain and suffering you'll go through when things happen, like all phenomena is impermanent, and like that, but how do you function when she's gone? How do you function? When something's lost, you lose something that's precious to you. When you fail in business or fail on your job or feel like a failure in life, because you didn't reach some imaginary goal, some goal you set for yourself, or some goal your parents set for you, or some goal in society has set for you. If I saw it as illusory, not graspable, I won't try to grasp it for meaning. I will let it be there, but without grasping. Not grasping externally, but these illusions are produced through the coming together of karmic conditions. Our practical lives of matters and things that we're in the midst of are also like a reflection or a shadow. They are obtainable, hence there's no need to be attached to them. They're temporary and they will vanish in a short time. Short time, long time, they will vanish. This short time can be an instant, several days, several years. Simply put, time is produced by the moving forward and the accumulation of worldly matters. However, everything will vanish eventually and thus is empty and obtainable. I will tell you that if you, maybe I'll go back, I will go back at some point and read the section on time. But I want to read this sentence again. Simply put, time is produced by the moving forward and accumulation of worldly matters. However, everything will vanish eventually. When you start seeing life more like this, instead of analyzing, but more like a mirage, a bubble, the concept of time also begins to vanish. We think we're so aware of time, but don't we have times when we lose track of time? We lose track of the sense of time. It's usually when it's something that we enjoy, we lose track. If we're not liking it so much, it's like time does what? Stand still certainly slows down, you know. So it's all relative. I mean, so you can actually see the illusory. I mean, the real deal is you can see the illusory nature. I mean, everybody is acquainted with it, even though we're thinking that this is, I don't know, some kind of firm, fixed, mechanical phenomena operating. But the true experience of time is not like that. It's not like that. So that helps you to kind of understand what it means to think of things in an illusory fashion, as a bubble, as a dream. We do it all the time, you know. How does one observe and contemplate phenomena as being like a mirage city? When the sun begins to rise, sunlight refracts from ocean mist. Occasionally, illusions of stately buildings or towers appear. These are called mirage cities. These are called mirages. As the sunlight changes, such edifices naturally vanish. They come into being due to causes and conditions connected with living beings and the shared karma of living beings. Sometimes such scenes can also be manifestations seen at the beginning stages of practice. When Mahayana practitioners, especially practitioners of mantras, reach through their practice the upper level city palace, they can see in the lower level all the palaces of the celestial and all the palaces of the asuras. This is when practitioners reach cultivation and enter the upper level siddha palaces. This is the wonderful fruit of accomplishment derived from having reached through cultivation correspondence of their three karmas of body, speech, and mind. When they reach that stage, this initial stage of the upper level state, after they pass away, they will ascend to the Pure Land of mysterious adornment. The middle level consists of the Pure Lands in the 10 directions. That is, the 10 trillion Pure Lands, the Pure Lands since beginningless time, such as the glorious and pure worlds, the Western world of ultimate bliss, and others. These are in the state of the middle level. The upper level is, of course, one level higher and is called the Pure Land of mysterious adornment. Those who have attained the lower level will ascend to the palaces of the various celestials and asuras. Asura palaces are where asuras live. Of course, they also exist the supreme Dharma that can enable you to enter the Pure Land of mysterious adornment right at that time. Entering right at that time means entering immediately. That is the enlightenment practice Dharma, which I will not impart at this time. In brief, only the Pure Land of mysterious adornment transcends the three spheres. And what are the three spheres? Desire realm, form realm, and formless realms. Other than that, the middle and lower states are still within the three spheres. Practitioners should regard, so you can see that there are principles and there are methods of evaluation to know what your accomplishment is and what your attainment is. Very much as in this world we have grading systems that we can know the qualities or the values of things. If we can come up with ways to determine the qualities and the values of things, don't you think it's possible that as we transform into higher quality beings, it's like an evolution into higher quality of being, that there's not a way to measure, to know what, it's not like everybody think I'm just spiritual. What kind of spiritual? Just my kind of spiritual. what level? I'm on my level, and it's just all over the place, ragtag. It is just as organized. There is a form of organization and a sense that even in a worldly sense, we can determine this is step one, step two, step three, level one, level two, level three, and we can see the ascending quality of things, even in the worldly. How much more as we ascend in universal understanding? There are still guidelines. That's why I was at participating in an event of spiritual practitioners, but at the same time that they were excitedly sharing, all of their what century is this? Is this 21st century? Sharing their 21st century wisdom, that they spoke of as coming from, connection with divine beings, but yet they had in the main social hall, they had two screens playing music, and women mostly naked dancing, like pole dancing and and riffing on top of each other like snakes. I mean, it was debased and it was dark, but yet these are the same ones that were coming forth as the spiritual leaders, you know, uh, and they're good people. They're just into their thing. They're just into their worldly thing. A lot of us got into things we wouldn't want to tell anybody about now, but some were offended when, I questioned. I mean, like, do you really think that the mind that devolves into these kinds of spaces is a high quality mind? That was just the question, you know. And they they did begin to see it when I began to talk about it, and there was some sense of shame. I'm like, don't be shamed because I see it out here. This is like doing an inner checkup. And it doesn't mean that we're going to be instantly perfect in what thoughts we choose to entertain. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means know what those thoughts are and know where they fit on the scale of ascendancy and embodiment, of what is useful, valuable, and of high quality. That's all. And so when we reflect in that way, we start to make changes. We start to feel like, oh, that's not what I want to do. Sometimes I can say to somebody, that's okay for them to do, but that's not allowable for me. It's not okay for me. So I'm not passing judgment on it in that way. I'm just saying sometimes, and there's some things that I do that's allowable for me, but it wouldn't be allowable for a high level master. There it would be a sinking if they entered into that. Um, and so yeah, there are these principles that govern, you know, um, the ascendancy. To whom much is given, much is required. It's something. It's something like that. It says all these things, though, that you do see in these states must be regarded as illusions. Even at this stage, you must regard them as illusions. Otherwise, what happens? What'd you say? Right, attachment. arises. So this is a safeguard. It's the purpose is to help you not get attached to the experiences. Have them, appreciate them, but don't get attached to them. It uh, it also produces a longing and a grasping, a craving, and a greed for things that are beyond your state of consciousness. And so if you haven't actually entered into that state, uh, that's like wanting to steal something that you're not entitled to. You know, so that's why we don't have to get frustrated when we're not. We can have a standard, and if we're not meeting it, not fully into it, you know, we should be encouraged that we can see, like, I'm not where I was, but I'm not where I want to be, or I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. You know, so rather than feeling down about it, we should be rejoicing because it has come to me that I am of a higher quality than that way that I think, you know. And if we're doing that with ourselves constantly, can you see that this is not a put down? This is not a denigrating oneself. It's actually the opposite. And it's what propels us into an opposite action. I was talking with the nuns yesterday, and I said, actually, sometimes jealousy arises in me when I hear other Buddhist musicians sing a song, and I'm like, why does that happen? You know, and why should I not be rejoicing? But every time a Buddhist song comes, there ain't that many of them out there. So every time one comes out, I should be glad that somebody is hearing the Dharma in a way that they can hold it. It becomes part of them in the music. Instead, I'm thinking about what's taking so long to get ours out. You know, like it's a wrong view. It's a wrong thought. But you have to deal with yourself like this. This is the only way that you're going to overcome the things that hinder you or that stumble you. I want to be rejoicing, barking like a dog and hopping over the moon every time some Dharma comes out that people can benefit from, you know? And so I've been sitting with that, you know? And one way that you can help to shift when you can call it out on yourself. You know, you can call out that behavior, that conduct, whether it's in thought or speech, you know, or action. You can call it out and acknowledge that it is a wrong view. It's a non-beneficial view. And that is the repentance of it, you know? And once I've done that, then I go to what is the right view to have, you know? So you don't have to, you know, belabor the wrong. You just simply, once you recognize it, acknowledge it, like call it out to yourself and ask yourself, what kind of behavior would I like to exhibit? How would I like to feel? And if I keep thinking about how I would like to hold something, then I start to see that more than I see, you know, the unwholesome that I did. So we get discouraged sometimes, like we can't do any better, or we just can't go any further. We can't do any better because we're looking at what we have not accomplished as opposed to what is possible to accomplish. So continuing to look at what we want to accomplish when our it's like dropping beans or peas on one side of what do you call it? It's like a seesaw thing. You know, But when enough drops here, it tilts this way, and that's how you make the tilt. You have to keep dropping on the deficient side, dropping P's, bringing your thought to where you are trying to go, what you're trying to step into, what you want for yourself, like having a standard for yourself. And then one day you're going to just drop one more P there and it's just going to turn. It's going to be there, not through so much thinking about, I'm so bad, I got to change, but thinking about how wonderful it is for one who has that kind of beautiful mind. So he tells us how we can hold life in these very light ways. You might say, is doing so necessary even when one's accomplishment is high? Said yes, one must regard things in that manner. Only then can you ultimately become a bodhisattva and even ultimately be able to attain liberation. Otherwise, it would be impossible. How does this apply to ordinary living beings in our practical lives? We should all the more view things as a mirage city in our practical lives. There exist such real occurrences of such great supernormal abilities, including the power to transform nature on a grand scale. This is all the more true in the realm of normal lives, then, of ordinary beings. The key is do not regard anything as being overly important. Do not regard anything as being overly important. So I've looked at jealousy before, like wanting something that somebody has, being upset. That's jealousy. Envy is feeling like you deserved it or you should have had it instead of them. That's envy, And so we're looking at jealousy and envy. And it doesn't matter whether it's around worldly things, whether it's around spiritual things. It's still what it is. It still carries the energy that it carries. And so the key to that is not regarding anything as being overly important. Oh, yes, we're doing this, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I'm going and I'm speaking somewhere, but it's not a big deal. Not thinking that it is something. In the beginning, we say not thinking too highly of ourselves. So if we're too high, we can bring ourselves down. If we're too low, we can lift ourselves up. It's having that right balance. Right? How does one observe and contemplate things as being like an echo? For example, in remote mountains or an empty big hall, echoes of strange sounds arise when everything is quiet and no one is around. When one calms down and meditates in the mountains or in an empty hall, one can often hear strange noises of something moving. Sometimes musical voices can be heard. Sometimes the sound of rocks collapsing can be heard in a cave. When you go to see what caused the sound, nothing is there. Do such sounds occur? Yes, but they are illusory. They are false. You should first observe and contemplate in this sense, in this way. You should have this kind of understanding, knowing that all phenomena are unreal. And you will, if you do this, enter into more profound states. if you grasp after any state that you're in, like just your present state, if you grasp after it, it will cut you off from entering into deeper, more profound states. So that's the key. I don't know how to say it in any other kind of way. But that's why we're going through all of these to just kind of set you up for not regarding things as being overly important, not spiritual experiences, if you want to go deeper. Because once you grasp around it, you have just cut yourself off from higher states. You've lost the quality that allows you to enter into that magnanimous space. How does one observe? No matter whether the echo or strange sound is loud or weak, whenever you hear such sounds, do not perceive them as real. Ordinary people with mundane views think that such sounds are real, just as they think the bustling sounds of a city are real. Actually, this is caused by a differentiating mind. Once you do not have a differentiating mind, naturally, these things will no longer exist. Sounds that are heard neither arise nor cease. When a sound that you hear is occurring, it is non-existent, for it is empty of intrinsic nature. All that sound vanishes. That vanishing is an illusory change. Sounds that are heard neither arise nor cease and are not related at all to our intrinsic nature. There's no such thing as sound in intrinsic nature. Sounds that are heard are neither existent nor non-existent. Those who have awakened to prajna observe all sounds as being the wonderful sound of enlightenment. Therefore, they're not attached to any sound. One should observe and contemplate all sounds as being the wonderful sound of enlightenment. Does that mean that you should think, wow, this is so pleasant to hear? Once you think a sound is pleasant to hear, thought is arising in the mind, and that is not prajna. Sounds are wonderful sounds only of enlightenment, only when you are not attached to them. All sounds, then, in our practical lives is not real, and they should be regarded as empty, unreal sounds. How does one observe and contemplate things as being like the moon reflected on water? Human life in the world is entirely conditionally arisen through an illusory combination of the six great elements, and in reality is like the moon reflected in water. The moon reflected in water means that the moon that is seen in clear water, its appearance really exists. However, when you try to take it with your hand, it is non-existent. At that time, reality shows that there was no moon in the water. The moon seen in the water was created from a manifestation of an illusion. As soon as there is any movement of that clear water, the bright moon no longer exists. Actually, it is an inverted image projected down from the moon in the sky. However, is there a moon in the sky? There is no moon in the sky either. That is also illusory. Why do I say illusory? Here I again tell you, disciples, that even your bodies are inherently illusory. All entities composed of the four great elements are illusory. They are all things that undergo the process This is what illusory means in the sense, the process of arising, existing, decaying, and vanishing. They are all things whose bodies are empty in essence. How could they not be illusory? How does one observe and contemplate things as being like floating bubbles? For example, when it is raining and raindrops fall upon water, floating bubbles arise. Bubbles will pop up, make a sound, and then immediately break up. However, these bubbles will vanish in an instant. They will immediately disintegrate. Therefore, all bubbles, reflections, or shadows that appear are illusory. They will vanish in an instant. However, even though there are various sizes and appearances of bubbles, all bubbles are of the same one character or quality, which is the nature of water. This principle is extremely profound. It clearly illustrates the truth that true emptiness is yet marvelous existence. Although all phenomena are illusory, if one is not attached to them, then marvelous existence will transform into a true emptiness. If one is attached to phenomena, then marvelous existence becomes a mundane state. This is where the difference lies. You cannot become attached. You should know that the nature of water is of one character or quality. Likewise, although living beings are different from Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they nonetheless are equal and are of the same one character or quality in their Dhamma nature. In reality, their original nature is equal. It is the same. There's no relative superiority or inferiority in their original nature. The only difference between living beings on the one hand and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas on the other hand is the difference between being deluded and being awake. Living beings are deluded about their bodies, which are false combinations of the elements. Being deluded, they do not know that their bodies are like floating bubbles. Buddhas have realized this principle directly. Therefore, they observe and contemplate all sentient beings and all conditioned dhammas as being like floating bubbles. Hence, you must know that you should observe and contemplate everything in your daily life as being like floating bubbles. Get my phone for me. Now, I'm reading this to you. Uh, um, I'm reading this to you because I was trying to understand an experience that I had. So I went searching in here to, number one, to verify the experience that I had. I was searching the Dharma to verify it, and to help me to understand it, um, better. Yes. hmm And that's all we have to do when we have some experience or some flash of insight, or even something that we're perplexed about by that brings up a question, our own question, and sometimes you don't, it brings up a question. You didn't have a question until something occurred or something happened, and now you have a question, you know. because you could have been just resting in how you understood something before, so you definitely didn't have a question about it. What I wanted to try to find was, what's your name? Brian. Sorry.
Same nature as Brian.
Okay. I didn't read this. Okay. I'm going to read a little bit of it now. So Deepa came to me in meditation yesterday. And while I still feel sickness in my body, he showed me something that helped me understand better that I am not my body, and that with perseverance in the Dharma and with non-struggle with the Dharma, I can know the difference right now and pass through barriers. He showed me that when he died, what I was able to see based on my state was only the four elements after the exit of consciousness. So I saw what we have called death, or what we name as death. That I could not see more because of the differentiation based on duality. It's either alive, he's either alive, or he's dead. Okay. And it is this thinking or being stuck in differentiation that only allowed me to see one aspect. When I say showed, I mean, well, I probably shouldn't read this part. Who's online?
Regina, Deanna, Julie Hope, Fordham.
Okay, so everybody, people we know. Okay. When I say showed, I mean showed, not told me. First, he appeared as his dead self, the way the last image I have of him, right? His dead self. Then he transformed right before my eyes, full of what I recognize and call life. And I watched this whole process of shifting back from dead to life. And in that moment, all my doubt left about whether he made it to some bodhisattva stage and whether that could also be possible for me, with the right causes and conditions. He has and can take multiple forms. He told me I had to reach a view. This is the important part. He told me I had to reach a view of equality or non-differentiation to see that both what I think of as death and life are illusory. And that's what made me search to see Buddha Master's teaching on, illusory, how to begin to cultivate a mind that holds life as a dream, a bubble, a shadow, an echo, because those are all things that I can recognize as real but not real. I can recognize them having a presence in my world, yet they're ungraspable. And because they're ungraspable, I don't even try to what? Grasp them. And so I know that they come, they abide, it's real, but I can't take hold of it, and it departs. Or I know that the sun shining on the water or on the lake, and it looks, there's the sun right there, I see it. But I also know that that's not tangible and graspable in a certain way. So thinking of our life doesn't mean like, on one level and from one aspect, I'm as real as you can get. And so are you. I'm sitting here on this platform and I'm talking and you're listening. So we know that part. We know that aspect. But now I'm talking about also being able to see everything from another side. And if we make the effort, it will break apart our faulty understanding that it is only this. It is only this. And it will change how we walk through life and how we will govern the issues of life. So he said, so I said, well, I still have a lot of questions. I didn't understand all that he shared, and I still don't. I'm sitting with this. This is illumination, contemplation, the kind of project that just sits with it. It just sits with the saying, sits with the teaching. I don't have to accept it, I'm just not rejecting it, or I'm not saying actually that it is or it isn't. I'm just sitting with the hearing of it. I'm sitting with the teaching because whatever is going to happen, he said, I would not be able to simply think things through from this point forward, to learn the principles and then let go of views and attachments and even whatever strange phenomena or cities may arise. They must be thought of as illusory as well. And now this is someone who didn't study imparting. Someone that I grieved because I couldn't get him into it. No. But he did, maybe he didn't have this teaching at this time, but he did the things that allow him to enter the states where the realization could be made manifest to him. You see what I mean? Like being a bodhisattva, I can't like just write on a piece of paper, I will become a bodhisattva, or I am a bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is as a bodhisattva does. A baker bakes. That's how you know he's a baker, because he can bake, and it's the same thing for being a bodhisattva, full of wisdom and compassion. Like you have it, that's how you are it. You have it. And we attain it in different ways, and it can appear differently from the outside. So anyway, I'm just kind of sharing these things with you because people are calling me, people are emailing me, and they're saying, well, this happened to me today, and I'm saying, yeah, good, and then I'll say, forget about it. Forget about it. This was this phenomenon, like, forget about it. And I'm saying experience it, know it, and then forget about it. That's all. But not think it's strange, because you're hearing a high Dharma. One time Buddha Master said that I was going to be able, and I'm still looking for that day. He's not here to give me the initiation, but but there are others who can give it to me. I'm hoping that day comes, but I'm not worried about it. And he said, I'm gonna give you. No, he was an initiation for a particular thing, and he said, you're not qualified for it. You're not qualified for it at all. He said, but somebody else is qualified. for it. And the day that I give it to him, when I give it, and everybody in the room receives it. So I'm going to let you be there in the room so that you can get it in. Now that's a good karma. You know, that's a fortunate karma. We think everything has to be something. We even concretize karma. You know, it has to be something that I can point to that I did on December the 15th that earned me, you know, that merit. But good karma comes in ways that's in addition to just our actions. Sometimes it's things we don't do, you know, produce a good karma for us. Sometimes we start to think, like when we say you have to get it for yourself, you have to know it for yourself, you have to do it for yourself. All of that is true. But we know that helps exist in the world. Aren't we helpers? Don't we help other people all the time? And isn't that fortunate for them? People are helping us all the time. Fortunate for me. I can't make clothing, you know. When I didn't have a car, Busita gave me a car. Before that, when I didn't have a car, somebody else gave me a car. I haven't purchased a car in like, I guess maybe 30 years. You know, but that's fortunate, and so we should be expecting. When I say expecting, I mean looking for positive that fortunate circumstances come our way, and not like keeping a tick list of all the things that I did, all the things I did good, all the things I did bad. That's going to strip away. It shouldn't be like that at all. Don't be overly concerned about anything. And that's the key to making advancement. Being satisfied, having a sense of satisfaction, in the day. Having a sense of there's another word I want to use, contentment. That's the word. Being contented. And when something's not happening fast enough, you see, that this contentment will take care of jealousy. Being content with what I have. Being content with what I'm able to do. And my voice is shifting, my, body is aging, and I can't sing like what came in my mind. I think I'll get better and better and better the more I sing. No, I don't. I get worse and worse and worse because I'm aging. I'm aging. I don't care how much practice I do. That's just how it is. And can't we just accept that? Some things that I had in mind when I started this project, they're never going to come to fruition because things are constantly changing. And so training ourselves that we will love this walk. You'll just be sitting there and just one little line of Dharma will come across your mind and it'll catapult you into a state of bliss, just out of nowhere. It's not real, it was a thought. But just that quickly one can transform, change their state. Now, if Tony Robbins told you about this, you'd be like, yeah. I used to go to all of Tony Robbins before he was famous. That's how long it's been. Go to all of Tony Robbins, I forget what you call them, motivational things, And he had a practice we would do. It was saying, change your state, and you hit yourself on the chest. You were setting up an anchor, and so all of his students, they'd be going around like this, but we knew what it meant. but that meant some negative thought had gotten in our mind, and he gave us a method, by setting up a trigger to change our state.
That's shifting the mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shifting the mind. And the beginning practice in shifting the mind is to keep us from falling into a deep delusion. So it's like, if I'm not thinking about you hurt, I won't be sad or fearful or whatever, But we have to learn to be able to place our mind at something and still not be sad or fearful or whatever. And that's the beginning aspect of shifting the mind. That's what keeps us from being detached from circumstances. That keeps that detachment from arising, or a true delusion where you don't even know what's going on, But and so there will be some feelings of pain or deep sorrow, because you're not forgetting as soon as you saw something, you just forgot about it, But you can hold that thing and yet see or experience the illusory nature of it. And you have to have that kind of view, and you have to enter into that kind of state to really bring about change in the world. Otherwise, your prayers are like, they go this high and fall down and fall back down, because you're not, it's not packed with the compassionate wisdom that can hold and transform those conditions. You have to be able to hold them and transform them, not like just out of sight, out of mind. So I'm free because I'm not thinking about no suffering, because I ain't thinking about nobody, But you can be able to think on what their condition is, so you feel it deeply, and yet you're not moved by the feeling. One is looking at the ultimate nature of things. So this is the real practice that we do. All the rest is just blah blah. We just talking, talking, and this it's just like theories and concepts, and that's not the real thing. But this is the real part that we live out and that we walk out. So we're accountable to ourselves. That allows us to be accountable to others. If I'm not able to be accountable to myself, I'm sure not going to be accountable to you, So first we have to decide that we're going to be accountable to ourselves. Then we will, it may not feel comfortable. That's why I'm talking about feelings. It may not feel comfortable to be accountable to others, but we can learn to delight in it because of the benefits that it brings. And one of the benefits is a great, not just a sense of freedom, but an actual freedom. A freedom, some words start to leave you, some thought, some connotations of things start to leave you, like feeling judged. You'll stop feeling judged. Excuse me. You stop feeling judged by others. You stop feeling overwhelmed by circumstances. You don't have to pretend that nothing's happening. You can acknowledge that something's happening. I'm sick. I'm not going to go into there's no such thing as sickness. I'm sick, but you can hold that in a certain way that you're not overcome by it. You can endure the manifestation of it because you recognize you're still in that state of things arising and ceasing. And our objective is for our state to change sufficiently until we're in the state of no arising and no ceasing. That's what the state of no birth and no death means. And the only way is for what's arising and ceasing to become for us like a mirage, like a bubble, like an echo, like the moon illuminated on the water. And when you just think about these examples that are given, and now just think about your life today. Think about what you're experiencing today. And it may not have anything to do with you. It could have something to do with the suffering of your children. Or they could be thinking they're happy and you're looking at it through your eye of wisdom and knowing like, oh boy, you know, they're setting themselves up for suffering and there's nothing that I can do. There may come a time that they ask you the question, ask for help. They may never. And then what do? How do you hold the sorrow of seeing your loved ones, you know, overcome or overtaken in the due to the throes of ignorance? No, it's hard. It's hard that you can't fix other people's lives, even though you may want to, even though you might think it's your job. You may not be able to do it. He says, when realizing, oh, I read that part. You should observe and contemplate all things arising in your life as sky flowers, etc. On the other hand, what is worth mentioning is how you are carrying out your continual practice, how you're checking your own conduct, how you're cultivating yourself in accord with the Dharma. Of course, mentioning to me phenomena that appear so that I can sometimes correct what you're doing is also okay. However, disciples who have not realized such states should strive to realize them. If they do appear, however, you should observe and contemplate them as mere illusions. Know this principle and do not be attached as you observe phenomena. Upon knowing this principle, one will understand, thinking, it doesn't matter. These are all false. You should observe and contemplate things like this. Know that they both holy states that appear due to one's pure karma, one's holy mind aspiring for enlightenment, or one's marvelous application of the meaning of the Dharma should be regarded as illusions. They manifest from the power of your state, your holy mind aspiring for awakening, and the marvelous application of the meaning of the Dharma, language prajna. They should be regarded as illusions. And you notice he's saying it over and over and over. And he gives an example of how you can think about it. And when we get to the end, it's really an observation of the emptiness of emptiness. That's where it's like having a spot and you just keep rubbing and rubbing and rubbing and rubbing until the spot is rubbed out. You know, I keep thinking about what was it? What was that play? Macbeth, and she like went crazy, like just rubbing out damn spot, you know. And so, like, I find things like that to think to help me get out of a critical thinking mind, you know, to be able to hold something in a lighter way. I'm not being irreverent when I tell jokes or whatever. That's just how my mind works, and it makes me not hold things so tightly. You can feel it when you're holding something. The tightness in the head and the tightness in the body. Yeah. So Buddha Master said, I hope you do not use the Hinayana method of analysis. Instead, use these illusion methods, and you'll make a lot more progress, a lot faster. Actually, we're a little bit early, but I think I want to stop there because we pick up with the 18 kinds of emptiness. And I think that that's too much to go into today. But I like to ask you to, in ways that you try to do your active practice this week in seeing life as a mirage, as a bubble, as sky flowers, as a fire wheel, as a dream, and use it on something that actually gets to you, you know, something that actually bothers you, troubles you, using the concept of don't regard anything as overly important, bringing everything back to an even keel, and then allowing everything to become like one thing, like non-differentiating, and see that's the work, and we have to do that for ourselves. So a lot of things can't be explained in words, but they can be experienced. And then when you know for yourself that approaching something in this way is beneficial and it is useful, then he said, continue in that. Yeah. So thank you. Any questions? Any comments? Or
One comment I had, Venerable, back when you were reading, I think you were saying, you have an experience, forget about it. The follow-on to me was forget about it and keep going with the Dharma, keep going with our practice, just keep going. So we're gonna have this great experience, but don't stop on that, keep going.
Yeah, so I don't mean like immediately like forget about it. You can review it and then put it back into the ordinary pile. You know, it's just drop it right back in there with everything else. But if we keep well, one thing is that the mind what the mind does is create dramas, right? So the more we think on something, the more drama we create, the more of a storyline we give it, whether it's something that makes us happy or something that causes us grief. You know, we build upon it. It's a great story writer. And so it's this way, it's like, because what we're after is the mind that is vast and does not land anywhere. Does not land anywhere. And then And then you can be in any kind of situation, and you're just there for the moment, for whatever needs to be done, whatever needs to be said, whatever needs to be held, whoever needs to be comforted. It's like catch and release. Oh, that's a bad analogy. I apologize. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, just hook your lip. No big deal.
Yeah, did you get the idea? Thank you. Somebody close us out today. Sunday, what day is this? This is Wednesday? Okay. Sunday, I have to give a Dharma talk at 1 o'clock. So we're gonna have a short Sunday. To be finished by 5 minutes to 1. So.
And the following Sunday, Dina told me to announce, and I forgot, is a potluck. The sign of a potluck is, I'm sorry, the 19th. 19th, 18th, whatever that is.
Not Sunday coming,
No,
the
it's
next Sunday.
12th. That's actually Mother's Day. So it
Yeah,
must
it's the
be
19th.
Oh,
week after.
that's Mother's Day?
No, the 12th is
The
Mother's
12th is, yeah. Not
Is
this
that-
Sunday, next Sunday, Mother's Day. She's talking about 3 Sundays from now.
The 19th
The 19th? Okay,
is a potluck for the Sunday.
all right, wonderful. If I say to myself, I shall put on a happy face, only then can my countenance be changed.
Through this goodness, do I need to, we can hear me, right?
I can hear you.
Louder.
Through this goodness, may awakening arise in our streams of being. May all obscurations and distortions fall away. May all beings be liberated from suffering and the stormy waves of birth, sickness, old age, and death.